For over 15 years, WhatsApp has run on one simple rule. Your phone number is your identity. Whoever has your number can find you, message you, call you, add you to a group. That's been the entire foundation of the world's biggest messaging app since the day it launched. This week, that foundation just cracked. WhatsApp is killing the phone number as your public identity and replacing it with something you choose yourself. This is the story of what's changing, why it's happening now, and what it means for the 3 billion people who use this app every single day. Let's start with what actually happened. On Monday, WhatsApp announced it is rolling out usernames, unique handles that let people contact you without ever seeing or needing your phone number. Reservations opened globally on June 29th, giving users the chance to lock in the username they want before the wider rollout later this year. WhatsApp's own CEO, Kunal Shah, posted about it directly, telling people that timing is everything and urging them to claim their username now before someone else takes it. Here's how the app has worked since day one. To message someone on WhatsApp, you needed their phone number. Join a group chat, a school group, a work team, a neighborhood community, a group for an event you're attending, and your number becomes instantly visible to every single person in that group, whether you know them or not. Buy something on Marketplace, meet someone at a networking event, get added to a group by a friend of a friend, and your personal phone number, the same one used for banking apps, two-factor authentication, and family emergencies, gets handed out to a room full of strangers. That's the trade-off that's existed for a decade and a half. Want to talk to people on WhatsApp? Give up your number first. Usernames change that entirely. Once the feature is live and a user turns it on, they can share a username instead of a number. New contacts, new group members, businesses reaching out for the first time. None of them will see the actual phone number behind the account. WhatsApp explained the thinking behind it plainly in a company blog post. When someone new walks into your life, a classmate, a neighbor, someone you meet at an event, sharing a phone number can feel like a big step because a phone number is personal and tied to so many parts of your life. But this isn't just usernames bolted onto WhatsApp the way they exist on Instagram or Twitter. WhatsApp has been explicit that it does not want to become a social discovery platform. There is no directory. There is no search function to browse for people by username. There are no autocomplete suggestions that pop up as you type. To contact someone for the first time using their username, you have to already know their exact username, character for character. WhatsApp's VP of Product, Alice Newton-Rex, described it directly as a core privacy feature, not a visibility feature. This is the opposite of how usernames work on Instagram or TikTok, where the entire point is being found. On WhatsApp, the entire point is the opposite, controlling exactly who can find you at all. And WhatsApp is layering in a second control on top of that. It's called the username key. Think of it as a password that sits behind your username. Even if a stranger somehow gets your exact username, they still can't message or call you for the first time unless they also have your username key, a short code you choose to share only with the people you actually want to hear from. Know the username but not the key? You're locked out. This double-layer system is designed specifically to prevent the exact scenario usernames could otherwise create, random people guessing at handles and mass messaging strangers. WhatsApp is also adding systems to detect and block what it calls abuse patterns, and will limit how many new people any single account can contact at once, aimed squarely at spam and scam operations that currently work by scraping and dialing random phone numbers. Now, the practical details. Usernames need to be between 3 and 35 characters long, must contain at least one letter, and can only use lowercase letters, numbers, periods, and underscores. You can't start a username with www, and you can't end one in .com or .net. A direct move to cut down on impersonation and phishing attempts that try to look like legitimate websites or businesses. High-profile figures, celebrities, public officials, government entities will have their obvious usernames held back and reserved by WhatsApp itself. So a random user can't grab Elon Musk or the handle of a national leader and start impersonating them. For businesses, creators, and organizations, there's a built-in advantage. If a company or public figure already has an established username on Instagram or Facebook, both owned by WhatsApp's parent company, Meta, they'll get the opportunity to claim that same matching username on WhatsApp. That means a business trying to keep a single, consistent identity across every platform it uses won't have to fragment its brand across 3 different handles. For everyday users, though, that same meta-wide integration cuts both ways. If you're not fast, someone with the same name as you, or a business with more resources, could end up claiming the handle you wanted first. And speed is genuinely the operative word here. WhatsApp has more than 3 billion monthly active users across the world. That's roughly 1 out of every 3 human beings on the planet with an account. With a pool of people that size, the odds that dozens or even hundreds of other users share your exact name or want the same simple username you're picturing are extremely high. That's exactly why WhatsApp opened reservations early and separately from the full public launch, spreading out the initial land grab so the system doesn't buckle the moment usernames go live everywhere at once. If you don't manage to snag your first choice username, WhatsApp says it will offer an automatic generator that suggests personalized alternatives based on what's still available. So how do you actually reserve one right now? Update WhatsApp to the latest version of the app. Go to Settings, tap Account, tap Username. From there, you can search for and reserve an available handle. The catch is that this is rolling out in stages by region, not switching on for everyone simultaneously. So if you open your settings and don't see the option yet, that doesn't mean anything is wrong. WhatsApp says users will get an in-app notification the moment the feature becomes available in their specific country, with the full global rollout expected to continue over the coming months. It's worth being clear about what this change is not. Your phone number isn't disappearing from WhatsApp entirely. It still powers everything happening behind the scenes. Account registration, login, account recovery if you lose access. Usernames sit on top of that is a privacy layer, not a replacement for the underlying system. WhatsApp isn't turning itself into Signal, and existing contacts and chats you already have will keep working exactly the way they always have, tied to the numbers you already know. This is specifically about first contact. The moment a stranger, a new group member, or a business reaches out to you for the very first time. That's the exact moment where until now your number was automatically exposed with zero choice on your part. That's the moment usernames are built to protect. Why is WhatsApp doing this now, after 15 years of running entirely on phone numbers? Privacy scrutiny is the honest, stated answer, and it's a real pressure point that WhatsApp and its parent company Meta have faced for years. A phone number is one of the most sensitive pieces of identifying information a person has. It's frequently tied to banking apps, two-factor login codes, social media recovery options, and can be used to track a person across completely unrelated platforms and services if it leaks or gets sold. Every time someone gets added to a large WhatsApp group, that number becomes visible to everyone in it permanently unless they leave. Multiply that across 3 billion users joining school groups, work groups, community groups, and event chats every single day, and you get an enormous, largely invisible exposure of personal data that's been baked into the app's basic design since it launched. There's also a very practical spam and scam angle here. Scammers and marketers currently operate by scraping phone numbers wherever they can find them and mass messaging or mass calling those numbers across every platform tied to that number. If a person's public identity on WhatsApp shifts to a username that reveals nothing else about them, and first contact requires knowing that username and a private key, it becomes significantly harder to build the kind of massive phone number databases that spam operations depend on. What does this mean for the average person day to day? If you're someone who joins a lot of groups you didn't necessarily choose, a new parent added to a school class group, someone active in local community chats, a person who meets a lot of new contacts through networking or events, this is likely to feel like a genuine, meaningful upgrade. You'll be able to hand out a username freely in situations where handing out your actual phone number always felt slightly too personal without needing a second app or burner number to create that same boundary. For businesses and creators, it's a branding opportunity. The chance to have one clean, consistent matching handle across WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook, making it easier for customers to recognize and remember them the same way across every platform they use. For the average casual user who's mostly just chatting with people they already know, honestly, very little changes right away. Existing contacts keep working exactly as they do now. The real shift only becomes visible the next time you're added to a new group, meet someone new, or get contacted by a business for the first time. The exact moments where previously your number was exposed by default with no way to opt out. WhatsApp has called this one of its biggest privacy-focused updates in the app's history, and looking at what's actually changing, that's not an exaggeration. This is the company rebuilding the fundamental way 3 billion people identify themselves to each other, swapping a piece of personal data you didn't choose, your phone number, for an identity you pick yourself and fully control. No exact worldwide launch date has been confirmed yet. But the reservation window is open right now, and if history with any large-scale username rollout is a guide, and WhatsApp's own team has said this outright, the simple, memorable handles are going to disappear fast. So if there's a specific username you want tied to your name or your business, the moment to go claim it isn't next month. It's now. Let's dig a little deeper into why WhatsApp built this the way it did, because the design choices here reveal a lot about what the company is actually trying to solve. Compare this to how every other major platform has handled usernames. On Instagram, X, TikTok, even LinkedIn, the entire point of a username is discoverability. You want to be found. You want strangers to stumble across your profile, follow you, engage with your content. Those platforms build search bars, suggested accounts, algorithms, and public directories specifically to maximize how easily people can find each other. WhatsApp looked at that model and deliberately built the opposite. No search, no directory, no suggestions. The username exists purely as a replacement channel for something you'd otherwise share privately. Closer in spirit to handing someone a business card than posting a public profile. That's a genuinely unusual design decision for a company that also owns Instagram, one of the most discovery-driven apps on the planet. It tells you WhatsApp is trying hard to preserve its core identity as a private messaging service, not slowly morph into a social network with a chat feature attached. The username key adds another layer worth sitting with. Most messaging platforms treat knowing someone's handle as sufficient permission to message them. WhatsApp is explicitly rejecting that assumption. Knowing your username alone won't be enough. A stranger who somehow gets hold of it still needs the separate key you control to actually reach you for the first time. That's effectively a two-factor system applied to contact permission itself, not just account security. It's a meaningful acknowledgement that even a private username can leak, get shared without your consent, or get guessed, and that a single point of failure isn't good enough when the goal is genuinely protecting people from unwanted contact. There's also a broader pattern worth noticing here. Meta has spent the last several years facing intense regulatory pressure across the world, from the European Union's data protection rules to ongoing scrutiny from lawmakers and privacy advocates in the United States, specifically over how much personal data its platforms collect, store, and expose by default. A phone number tied to a messaging app used by a third of the planet's population is about as high value a piece of personal data as exists. Reducing how often that number gets automatically surfaced to strangers isn't just a nice-to-have feature. It's the kind of structural change that regulators and privacy researchers have been pushing tech companies toward for years. Whether this update was driven primarily by user demand, competitive pressure from apps like Signal and Telegram that never exposed phone numbers as aggressively in the first place, or regulatory anticipation, is something WhatsApp hasn't spelled out in detail. But it's very likely some combination of all three. It's also worth thinking through what this means for scam prevention specifically, because that's one of the most consequential real-world impacts buried inside a feature that sounds, on the surface, like a simple cosmetic update. Phone number-based scam networks work by building enormous databases of numbers, often scraped from data breaches, leaked contact lists, or simply dialed sequentially, and then blasting those numbers with messages, calls, and phishing attempts across every platform tied to that number, simultaneously. A phone number is a single key that can unlock a person's presence on WhatsApp, on SMS, on banking apps that use it for two-factor verification, and often on other social platforms too. When your public WhatsApp identity shifts away from that number entirely, it breaks one of the easiest, cheapest tools scammers currently have for finding and targeting victims at scale. Combined with the username key requirement and WhatsApp's stated new systems for detecting abuse patterns and capping how many strangers a single account can message, this looks less like a single privacy feature and more like a coordinated attempt to make the entire scam pipeline more expensive and difficult to run at the volume it currently operates at. None of this comes without friction, though, and it's worth being upfront about the trade-offs rather than treating this purely as an unambiguous win. For years, phone numbers have functioned as a rough, informal trust signal on WhatsApp. If you had someone's actual number, there was an implicit sense you'd gotten it through some real-world connection, a shared contact, an exchange at an event, a business card. Usernames strip that context away. A username can be shared, screenshotted, posted somewhere, or guessed in ways a private phone number generally can't. WhatsApp's answer to that is the username key, but that only works if people actually use it thoughtfully rather than treating it the way most people currently treat weak, reused passwords. The feature's real-world effectiveness at reducing unwanted contact will depend heavily on how seriously users take that second layer, not just on the existence of the technology itself. There's also the land grab dynamic to think about honestly. With 3 billion existing accounts, common names and simple, memorable usernames are going to vanish within days, if not hours, of full public rollout in any given region. That mirrors exactly what happened when Gmail launched usernames 2 decades ago, when Twitter opened up handles, and when practically every major platform before it hit critical mass. Early movers get clean, simple identifiers, and everyone who waits ends up with a name, buffered by random numbers or awkward variations. WhatsApp's decision to open reservations weeks or months ahead of the full feature launch is a direct acknowledgement of that dynamic, and it's the single most practical reason to act now rather than wait and see how the feature feels once it's live. Zoom out, and this update fits into a much longer story about what WhatsApp has been quietly becoming over the past several years. It launched as a bare-bones replacement for SMS text messaging, a simple way to send messages over the internet instead of paying a carrier per text. It's since added end-to-end encrypted voice and video calls, disappearing messages, channels for broadcasting to large audiences, a full business platform used by companies of every size to communicate with customers, and now an identity system that's meant to function independently of the telecom infrastructure it was originally built on top of. Usernames are arguably the final piece of that evolution. The moment WhatsApp stops needing a phone number provided by a telecom carrier as the core of what makes an account and starts treating identity the way most modern digital platforms already do, as something a person actively chooses and controls rather than something assigned to them by an outside system. Whether that shift ultimately makes WhatsApp feel more like a private messaging tool or gradually nudges it closer to the identity-driven social platforms it was originally built to be different from is something that will only become clear once usernames are actually live everywhere and people start using them the way they use handles on every other app they touch. For now, what's certain is this: the single detail that has defined every WhatsApp account. Since the very beginning, your phone number is no longer required to be the thing that identifies you to the world. That's not a small tweak buried in a settings menu. That's the app rewriting one of its own founding rules, live in front of 3 billion people.